Hey there, let's talk about Ted Lasso. I cannot believe how little I heard about this show before, and I cannot believe I knew almost nothing about this show. It's truly sad. The only thing I knew before is that it had to do with football, this football, so it just looked like something I wouldn't ever enjoy, and turns out I was wrong. So with the second season coming in a couple of months, I thought why not make a video about it, so let's get into it. First, let's rewind to the time before I watched this. So I got a new laptop and Apple gave me again a 1-year subscription for Apple TV Plus for free. I say again because I got a new phone when they started to do this almost 2 years ago, but I didn't even bother to use it because nothing on Apple TV Plus seemed even a bit interesting, so who cares? But this time is different because this man not only won a Golden Globe this year, but he did it in a tie-dye hoodie, not just because who cares about the Golden Globes anymore? But they were shooting the second season of Ted Lasso, so this had to be 2 or 3 a.m. for him, so I don't think it's a bad thing that he was in a hoodie. But my point is that this image did its rounds on the internet, so of course it piqued my interest enough to start watching as soon as I had the time to, and oh boy was I pleasantly surprised. From the first episode I couldn't believe how good it actually was, and I honestly was just waiting for the other ball to drop, maybe on the second episode or a bit later as is often the case, but it never did. I find it to be a great mix of British humor and grounded drama that can get you by surprise because it's coming from characters that seem to be just stereotypes at a first glance, but then come to be very well developed characters. I don't think there's any big exception with this. This series starts after Rebecca Welton, the owner of Richmond Football Club, hires Ted Lasso to manage the team. The issue here is that Ted Lasso is an American that knows nothing about football and has only coached US American football before. Very soon we learn that Rebecca wants nothing more than the team to fail because she's only owner of the club because her cheating ex-husband owned it before their divorce and really cared about it, and at this point she only wants to hurt him by making the team fail. I think it is important to say here that we don't really see much football at all in the show, maybe 10 minutes total including training on the whole show, and that's really great. You still get the full team spirit feeling from the players like in most sports shows or movies. I haven't seen many, but you know what I mean, like Space Jam and stuff. In this case we just don't need the actual games to have the emotional parts because we get to it from the interactions between the people. Even though the outcome of the games influences the story, we as the audience don't need to watch the games or understand any of the rules, which makes the series a lot more accessible for anyone to watch. Now pay attention because this is going to be a very detailed list of the good and the bad in this show. First, the bad. The intro is really bad. I don't know why. It just is. Second, the good. Everything else. Not detailed enough? Okay, let me be a bit more specific. The intro is really bad, so bad that I knew it was bad from the first time I saw it, like the first 2 seconds. I just don't see the point of having an intro if this is what it is. Just put a couple of seconds with the creators and the name of the show and be done with it. This is going to be on a streaming service, and the most common way to see it, it's going to be one episode after the other anyway. We don't need such a long intro that doesn't give the viewer anything at all, and that it's so goddamn hard to skip. I truly don't understand how they actually made an skip intro button hard to use, but they did, and I know that's just another one of the issues with this platform. I just hope maybe it's easier if you're watching on an actual TV. And now let's move on to the important stuff, which is everything else. No, but seriously, I find it hard to find anything that really bothers me about this series. The only part I find that needed more work or maybe just a bit more time to develop is Ted's marriage. We really didn't see anything about his marriage, and the only reason that you can care a bit about them getting divorced is because you care about him because he's such a sweet guy, but we only see a tiny glimpse of the marriage itself and not in its normal state. They are basically on holidays when we see them together, so you can't really trust that that's how they treat each other on the usual day-to-day. So at the end of the day, it felt a bit empty when the show was basically saying that it should be the most emotional thing ever, when they just have a very adult, polite conversation about it and deciding to get a divorce. It's just the logical next step. An easy comparison to this is Rebecca's divorce. We didn't even see any part of the marriage before the divorce, and still every time we see stupid Robert, we hate him and we are on Rebecca's side from the beginning, even though at the start she is the main antagonist of the series. The feelings about it were just better developed and put together than the ones on Ted's marriage, at least from my point of view. Let's move on to the characters, and first one is Ted, of course. If I was to explain Ted Lasso, the character, I had to say he's what I think nice people from the south of the US dream they could be like. He's so nice to everyone, truly open to new people, even when they are not even a bit nice to him. On new places, he's supporting of everyone, really interested on the problems and on how to help them, and he's just nice to the point that it seems he's just plain stupid sometimes. But step by step, we get to know him as well as the people around him, and we see how he's a lot more complex than it looks like at first. And the fact that he can't help to be so nice and positive has been a problem in his life, in his marriage, but he can't help being the way he is. This is such a great performance too, very well deserved of all the awards he got. Another one that makes it clear that actors working usually on comedies are not just comedy actors, and they land every punch on dramatic scenes as well. Next, Rebecca. She's presented as the main antagonist of the series, not quite the bad guy, but the closest we get to that for a while. Until, of course, we actually get to see her ex-husband, Rupert. Such a great name to say with disgust, Rupert. Again, Rebecca is just trying to make Ted fail every step of the way. Her end goal is for him to fail because she was deeply hurt by her ex-husband, and as she herself says, she didn't care who she hurt in her path for revenge. It's lovely to see that she gets a full character arc by the end of this season and see her grow from her insecurities and get out of that bad place she starts the season in without really making her a different person. I'm really looking forward to see how this character keeps growing on the next season. I don't want to make this my longest video yet, so I'm including everyone else in this category. First off, we have Coach Beer. His name on IMDb is just Coach Beer, and I don't really know that he gets called anything other than Coach the whole season, so I guess that's a name. He doesn't really have a very developed story or anything, he's just the other coach. The character is more like a play on what the sidekick coach could be here. He has some good conversations with Ted, we get some very small glimpses into his new life in the UK, and not that much else. He's basically just there when needed, and it's a friend to Ted. Okay, Higgins. We do get more from Higgins' story, especially interesting how he used to work for Rebecca's ex and helping him hide the cheating from her, but now she's his boss and he has to help her do bad stuff, but he feels so bad about it. We can only assume he felt terrible when working for her ex-husband as well. Jamie. This guy, he starts as the asshole and most important player, truly self-absorbed, new money guy, and even though he has some good story and character developing moments, he ends up basically the same, with the difference that we know why he is the way he is by the end. Keely, played by Juno Temple. I loved her so much on the teen movies she used to do. In this show, she plays a bit to the classic dumb blonde trope, but of course no one here is just what they look like. This character is not what you would call smart for sure, but still it's great to see how she goes making better decisions for herself, and that she's actually a very good friend for the people around her, and it's looking to improve for her future and her life. Roy is the team's captain. He's the oldest as well, and getting older and slower by the moment, which just makes him angrier, and that's what he is mostly, just an angry guy that we get to see growing into a more rounded character. Still angry, but more rounded as well. Talking about character growth, Nathan again, another one that seems just an insecure sidekick that will just be there for some funny jokes and things like that, gets so much growth and so well deserved. I think talking much about it will mess up the experience at the last couple of episodes too much if you haven't watched it, but it is really so good and wholesome. A couple of honorary mentions go to Sam and Danny Rojas. Both are rays of sunshine almost the whole time, and I hope we get more from them on the next season too. In conclusion, yes, Ted Lasso is the perfect American-British baby. I think this is one of the better comedies I've seen in a long time and that most people will enjoy and adore. The only thing really working against it is that it's in a platform that most people don't have or don't even watch. I've had many conversations already with people that, like me, didn't even care enough about this platform to use it for free, and that's truly so sad. I hope the awards it got and it got nominated for were enough to get more people to watch it before the second season starts. And that's it for me. Now I'm going to go and try to do the binging with Babish recipe for Ted's Biscuits. Bye!